Hello and welcome to the first episode of The Grindbin. My name's Mike Wood.
I'm Chris Mann.
In this podcast, we discuss exploitation movies from decades past. Today, we're going to be covering 1977's The Van, directed by Sam Grossman.
And apparently starring Danny Devito and featuring Stuart Goetz, though when you watch the film, it's the other way around.
If you want to get in touch with us, we'd love to hear your comments and suggestions, and send your hate mail as well. You can find us at grindhousefilm.com, grindpod.com, or find us on facebook.com/grindbin.
Bobby, start the van!
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Dad, I made the team. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Where's head knockers? This book ain't got no real coaching. Look at that, Brenda. We're gonna play a little game, baby.
I just love a funny game. Get a little girl all hot and horny.
You could have looked decent once in a while. And maybe Daddy wouldn't have had to kill himself because he couldn't get it up anymore.
What a shame.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creepy.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the background of the van to start.
Yeah, right. Give me some facts.
I'm very interested in the marketing approach to this film because I've looked online. This movie came out in 1977. Now, Danny Devito is in this movie. However, in a lot of the marketing in this movie and advertisement, I don't know if this later down the line this was added, but he is given top billing. In the, if we're looking at a picture, it says Danny DeVito with his giant face looking like he just took a shit, and it says The Van right below.
The Van in very big letters.
Yes, and it gets better.
We will put this on the website as well.
But we got another one.
This one doesn't even say the title of the movie. It looks more like a Cape Fear cover, and it just says DeVito, and then under his chin in tiny, I would say 10-point font, The Van.
Yeah, it looks like it was a horror movie, and then then this is artwork I've never. This is a pose of him I've never seen.
Well, we definitely have to include all of this.
Yeah,
it's the website.
This last one is Danny DeVito with a woman against his body, almost caressing her. I think
that's supposed to be Sally.
Yes, in a very heroic pose, of which does not happen anywhere in this film. So I found it interesting that their approach was, this is coming off the heels of Taxis, getting popular. The only way to market this turd is to have Danny DeVito as the main guy. No one's going to go see a movie with the actor Stuart Goetz.
If you can't pronounce his name, you're in real trouble.
Yeah. So I mean, you see that, you're going to want to see this movie. You see?
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
Now, if I saw that, though, I'd be very disappointed because DeVito is in it for a total of, I'd say, 5 minutes.
He's getting a needle in the ass and he's kicking down the door of a shitter. And then he's getting roughed up by some people for money. And thank you, Danny.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on Danny DeVito.
So if you haven't figured it out by now, we are talking about the movie The Van,
right?
1977.
Right.
Let's go ahead and listen to the trailer here, Chris. We'll also put this on the website, but it's a nice 25 seconds, which I would say sums up absolutely none of what the movie is about. So here we go.
When you can't make it, you can go fun trucking in the foxiest four-wheel moving violation on rubber, The Van.
Let me show you around. Waterbed.
Hey!
Mirrors.
Hey! With Bobby, who kind of likes Sally. It's fantastic. The Van, rated R.
Well, I would say there's 2 facts that I learned about that movie that are actually true. 1, it is fantastic.
Yeah.
2, I guess Bobby does kind of like Sally.
Yeah, but the one falsehood is that there was no rubber being burned because everyone is just having free sex at this point. It's a very, to me it seemed like a very pro-AIDS movie.
It's just, this is before AIDS was invented.
This is before it was invented. Before the monkey got off the boat.
Yeah, nobody had fucked the monkey yet. So
before it stowed away from the Congo and started going to town.
In your best estimation, I know this is going to be incredibly difficult because this movie arguably has no plot whatsoever.
No.
In 3 sentences, which we call the log line here.
Right.
Tell me what this movie's about. If you were going to pitch this to me, I'm a studio executive here. Walk into my office.
There's a new hot fad. It's called AIDS.
Really?
You're going to love it. You like scratching your junk? You love when it burns when you pee? If you can relate to the van. This van's full of things like that.
Yeah, I would say overall, the movie is about a young ginger boy who buys a van and tries to get laid. Mm-hmm. He succeeds in the end and gets probably the most shrewish girlfriend you could possibly imagine.
Definitely a throwback.
She not only hates vans, she hates him. So it's a match made in heaven. Yeah. It starts out with a rousing opening song, Chevy Van by Sammy Johns, which is, I would say, fitting. However, the van in the movie is actually a Dodge.
They couldn't get the van right. They couldn't go back and change in the studio and change the word for the name of a vehicle for this whole
I think
damn
they were
movie.
really limited on the amount of songs named after vans, so this was about it.
You just couldn't be like, rape van.
But it plays the van song, and yet we're not even at a van yet, because he's driving around in some, I would say, 70s version of a Miata.
I wouldn't call it driving, sort of maniacally swerving
with a very creepy smile on his face, by himself, swerving in and out of lanes, flashing back to his high school graduation, where he sees the object of his affection, Tina, the valedictorian. We first see her speaking regularly in her speech, and then immediately go to some bizarre masturbatory fantasy of her naked at the lectern. Then we cut to Bobby sitting at the graduation in, I would say, is a masturbatory look.
He's definitely got the face of...
And his friend wakes him up as the principal goes to the stage, and they, two little hellraisers, two real schemers.
Because
they pull the stage over and I would say kill the principal.
Should have. No repercussion for that. Everyone just kind of walks away from it and just...
The next shot, the next shot is of a man just saying the words, and we haven't been introduced to this man at all. He just looks into the camera and goes, and more.
And more.
Then we cut immediately to Bobby and his friend Jack get in the car, talk about getting some van, but we don't know what the hell they're talking about. Yeah. And then we would meet what I would say is probably the best character in this movie, Dugan.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we don't meet Dugan yet.
No, we don't.
We meet Dugan's piece.
Right. So his piece.
Which is, if you listen to the trailer, Sally, and Bobby kind of likes her.
Oh, kind of.
And I would say kind of in a way that he pulls up next to her at a stoplight, parks his car, and stares at her and says,
Sally Johnson.
Come on, just step on the gas before we get creamed.
What a set of knockers.
Ah, shit. Too late, the light's red.
What a piece.
We're dead.
Boy, you know, I'd love to do her just once. It would satisfy me a whole year.
So he's staring at her. He says all three of these lines, by the way, with no reaction from anybody but his friend, sinking down in his seat. Right. The light turns green. He does not move. People are honking at him and have to swerve around him, yet he has no reaction. And boy, he just can't take his eyes off those knockers. And then Dugan comes out. We don't know his first name.
I couldn't tell.
We don't know his last name.
I didn't know if that was his last name. I couldn't tell which one that was. It doesn't matter.
And I would say Dugan is, what do you say, about 35?
I would go older, to be honest. 40. I couldn't tell what he was. It just,
yet he loves racing those high school kids in his van.
It just seems like he's the guy that senior year was the best 4 years of his life.
So Dugan comes out and sees Bobby staring right at the old knockers, challenges him to a drag race, which he accepts,
right?
But then doesn't put the car in gear and... wait, hold up.
Right.
He accepts, and then they take a full minute and a half to light 2 cigarettes.
Right.
Just so we can get the gag of Bobby throwing his match in the back seat.
Something that we could have narrowed down to about 5 seconds.
But we sit uncomfortably watching them light their cigarettes. Dugan pulls off, and Bobby does not race him.
No, and this is a trend in this film. Is I feel like, is this on purpose? Is he trolling the van people on?
Well, then we cut to them driving their car and meeting the 2 girls. Sue, who's the girl who his friend just bangs. I mean, that's a non-issue really in the movie. And then Tina, the shrew.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one with the sweater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The sweater girl, yeah.
The sweater girl, yeah. That's.
Oh, how could you forget her?
That was an obvious choice for the filmmakers to put her in a sweater to exemplify.
She's just, you know, she needs to learn how to lighten up a little bit. She even says it.
It makes me wonder if you like recast or like re-promoted this movie as like, what if we made her the main actress? What if they marketed this movie with her as the main title actor?
You mean what really is in the movie? Nobody would go see it.
Yeah.
Why would you want to watch a ginger kid woo the bitchiest woman?
A goldfish in the film.
I mean, where next scene he goes to work, which is really, I guess, the only way to shoehorn in Danny DeVito's performance in this movie, which I would say is a powerhouse performance. Would you say that's accurate?
I would say powerhouse. I mean, it was just a wrecking ball.
So the only reason that scene exists, which I don't really know why it exists, is for Danny DeVito to be there and him to ask if he can go home early.
Yeah.
But he pulls some sort of prank on those guys, and then they prank him by putting him through a car wash with his car, and he ends out naked on the other end, again with that creepy smile on his face and no
like
actual
he's done this
emotion.
before.
Yeah, it's like, oh boy, just another day at the office. Yeah. Then we go to what they probably should have cut to, which is him buying his van.
Yeah. And I have many issues with this, of him buying this van, because this van has got to be it's a very lavish van, and he's going to keep up the payments on a car wash wage?
He's been saving up to buy this van that he still needs to make payments on a car washman's salary. He walks into the dealership dripping wet from the prank still, and puts all this wet money on the man's desk.
Back then, he could still pay in cash for a vehicle, no questions asked.
Then we watch him sign a bunch of papers.
No co-signer, by the way.
No co-signer. And then he drives somewhere else to get his van. Yeah. So, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you could have just cut that whole scene at the car dealership. It made no sense. Yeah. Why even show him doing it? Just go pick up the van.
It feels like that was someone's uncle that they wanted to be cast in the movie.
You know what, it's maybe it was Sam Grossman.
It was his big cameo.
It was his dad.
His big moment.
So then we get to the van. But before we get to the van, we got to throw in a classic gag. And that is, he walks into the repair shop and slips on a banana peel. In what I would say is one of the worst cuts of the banana peel gag. The guy picks him up and goes, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Yeah," still smiling. But we show, which is the best part of the movie, the actual van. Right. The straight arrow. Straight arrow. Which I would say is the worst van of all time. Garish
looking. This will get you the attention that you don't want. This screams, there are plenty of bodies underneath the undercarriage of this vehicle if you look closely.
Well, I would say, yeah, it's definitely, it's yellow with giant arrows down the side and a huge bubble window in the back. The interior is entirely made of white shag carpeting.
To blend in with the fluids that will be secreted.
Yeah. And I wrote down some of the, I didn't get them all. I wrote down some of the features the van comes with, which is a toaster, a waterbed, a ceiling mirror, a fridge, a TV, a drink rack, and a closet.
But don't forget the most important features, mag wheels, 4 of them.
Oh,
and more. And more. Well, I like that he had to emphasize the fact that there were 4 wheels. Because what else are you eating? 3? Yeah,
that's right. He goes, mag wheels, 4. Oh, really? Just so we know he's not getting a motorcycle.
Yes, we're not.
Just so you know, this van isn't on 3 wheels.
We're not cheaping out on the other wheel. On the
4 mag wheels. You need to see the van. Like, if you don't watch this movie, which we'll get on Chris's recommendation of this movie, you must see the inside of this van. Right. And if I can, I'll post something on the website because this is a must-see.
Yeah, it's a king's vehicle.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
If you were to drive it around today, you would definitely get pulled over. I mean, every block.
Yeah.
They would be looking for children in the back of it.
It would be an automatic Amber Alert the second you pull out the driveway.
It's on permanent Amber Alert. So then we cut after he gets the van, which we get to see about 5 minutes of him cheering with his arm out the window.
And first off, we can tell he's never really driven a van. By the way, he nearly veers off a cliff 8 times while he's driving this van.
This man has no idea how to drive. He shouldn't be driving, especially a van.
And then he stops to get high and then goes back to driving again. And then decides
and then we get the beer prank.
Yeah.
Because Bobby is a real trickster.
But is this before he races the green van? Because he does race.
Oh my God, how could I forget? The green van, where we get to see he's a recurring character. We don't know his name, but we do know that this man drives a green van.
And he has the worst luck of anyone in this movie, I think.
It always ends in a crash. There's 3 times we see his van, and it always ends in a crash.
And for some reason, it's back on the road the next moment. We see it like ready to go.
Does he race him? No, he doesn't. Yeah, he goes to like drag race this guy, and they're like getting ready. He's doing his creepy smile, and then he just turns right.
Yeah, that's another
slowly down a street.
Recurring thing that he does is he just trolls people that want to race. He wants to wear the muscle shirt without actually going to the gym. So if you want to say that.
So then we go to the beer prank, which he just pranks his old buddies at the car wash.
More than attempted murder.
Pulls out and he shows everybody his van. They go, wow, it's great. Shag carpeting, I can't believe it. Waterbed, oh boy, you're gonna lay some chicks in this. And he goes, you guys want some beers? I'll get them for you. And they're like, yeah. So he opens the beers and pours in castor oil, I believe.
Yeah.
And then hands them open beers, which I don't know about you, but if somebody handed me an open bottle of beer, I'd be a little bit concerned.
You know, to be honest, it depends on the people. If you handed me an open beer, I wouldn't be concerned.
From this guy?
But from that guy, yes.
There's no way I would drink anything that was in this man's hands without me knowing where it came from.
While coming out of that van.
Yeah.
And it's the same mistake. They're to blame. If they don't know the taste of a beer with castor oil in it, that's their fault.
Well, Danny DeVito does. Because then he's going and he's like, oh, you got some beer? Let me drink it.
Yeah.
Which I guess Danny DeVito doesn't care if his teenage employees are drinking on the job.
That's another thing. Let's get to him now. Because I think we touched upon him briefly. But so he's a car wash manager / bookie.
You're right. We have to introduce the one controversy in this movie.
Yeah. Because now is this another source of income for Bobby is through him now? Is he making bets? And
I have no idea. I really, it's only used to set up the one controversy, which we'll get to.
Yeah, it cancels itself out.
Needless to say, they all get to shit their pants. We get to see Danny DeVito bulldoze through a door.
Yeah.
Then we go to probably my favorite scene, which is him showing his mom the van. And she goes, I would use the word orgasmic over it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because she fantasizes, well, this is the van that my husband and I probably always have wanted, and I probably get to...
Yeah, for some reason, she's always wanted a van in her mind, I guess. Because he pulls up to the driveway. She's in the window like, oh my God, Bobby, it's you?
Right.
And she goes out and looks into the back and is pushing on the waterbed. And then she has, I guess, where Bobby gets it.
I thought
fantasy of her and her husband.
Well, I thought it was the dad having that vision of hers. I couldn't tell.
Oh no, the dad's a real stick in the mud. That's maybe why he likes Tina. She reminds him of his dad.
But so, anyways, this fantasy is basically.
Yeah, she has some quick fantasy about her and her husband sitting in the van sipping on red wine on that white shag carpet
laced with castor oil.
And then Dad pulls up and uses the word which I would use to describe the van.
It's obscene.
Yeah. It's obscene. And the mom, for some reason, is very defendant of it. She goes, no, you don't get it. It's great. It's beautiful. And he ends all of this looking at him saying, you better make the payments. I can't believe you didn't go to college and you work at that stupid car wash.
Yes.
And he kind of just... It looks like he's about to go shoot himself in the head when he says the line, I think I need a drink. And just goes inside.
And that's the last we see of him.
We never see his dad or mom again.
And it drives the point home. Like, there's no way in the hell this kid is going to... He has no gap insurance, no cosigner. And I think the most sensible character in this movie is the dad.
Yeah, who we see for 2 minutes, and he uses the line, it's obscene.
Yeah, I think...
And I need a drink. And we all feel his pain. We really do.
He is the Ernie Hudson of this movie. He is the everyman. He's the Winston Zeddemore of Ghostbusters. He's the audience's eyes and ears of what we're thinking.
And just like Winston, he's barely in it. So
and he's saying, he gets it.
Well, let's go over to, he goes to the pizza place because now he's finally got his chick wagon.
Yeah.
So he uses probably the best pickup line in the movie at this point, which is he walks up to a girl playing on pinball machine. Oh, maybe this isn't the one in pinball machine. He walks up to a girl and he says the line, "Hey, beautiful, you into studs?"
Hey, beautiful, into studs?
Which also, he's drinking in the pizza place. Now, maybe it's because it's, I don't know, in 1977 if the drinking age was 18. But he's a teenager and he's drinking openly in this bar. Just pounding beers, trying to get these women in his van.
This is, Vietnam, post-Vietnam era American. People are letting loose, it seems like, at this point.
Actually, this is when he walks up to the girl at the pinball machine. He walks up to a girl at the pinball machine. He says,
"Hey, you into vans?"
Depends.
On what?
The van and who's driving it.
Oh, yeah, well, see that van outside?
Yeah, I saw it drive up.
Yeah, well, it's mine. You want to go outside and share a joint in the back?
Yeah, sure thing.
Dynamite.
And within 1 second of them getting in that van and lighting the joint, he attempts to rape her.
Yes.
He goes straight for the goods.
STV.
Yes.
Straight to bed.
Yeah.
Hands off the tits.
Oh, come on, you know you love it.
Quit pawing me.
I'm not pawing you. I'm loving you.
Here.
Great kiss. Come on, let's go. Hey, I love your hair. Wow.
I like your hair?
I love it better when you're choking on it.
Then, when it doesn't work with her, he goes in again and picks up a woman, brings her out to the van, and oh boy, it's a hooker.
Yeah. Oh boy. With the face to the palm. Like, I've done it now. One of those nights. And you would think he would know by the looks of these women and the vibe of getting, but he gets like hooker after hooker into this van.
Yeah, the next woman he gets, there's a third woman, she's also a hooker.
Yeah.
And the pimp comes up.
It says something if the closest action this kid is going to get is from prostitutes. Clearly, the van is not carrying its weight.
No. Which, I guess he could have just got the prostitutes in his other car.
I know. He
blew it with the one girl. I really thought the joint girl, he had a chance, but he just has no patience.
Well, my question
Come on, let's go. I like your hair. What more do you need? I mean, come on.
Let the van
I'm bearing my soul here.
Let the van do the talking, baby.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I did the work. And
I got a waterbed back here. What do you think this was?
Now, my question is, he pays the pimp $10. What did he get for that $10?
He didn't get it.
What I want to know.
But more important, Chris, is why are there hookers in a pizza parlor?
Exactly.
What kind of pizza parlor is this?
It's...
Oh, and after all of this, we get the recurring line that he's going to use multiple times for the rest of the movie, which is he almost looks directly into the camera and says...
Women.
Yeah. Yes.
Like it's all their fault.
Yeah.
like none of this is him. He just goes, women.
Can't rape them. Can't kill them. Women.
So he picks up they go and attack him at the pizza parlor, his friends from the car wash, because he made them shit their pants.
Yeah.
So they go out and they get in a chase. He tells his friend to get in the van. That's the first time he finds this van. And then they go out chasing the girls, Tina and Sue, in the van, where they don't really announce it's them. They just go up behind them, flash the lights, and start speeding into them. And I would say Tina's justifiably terrified. Sue just says, "Oh, who is it?"
Pull over.
When Tina finds out who they are, she says the line, which, like the father, I would say is the second best line to describe the van, which she says, quote,
God, you really have a place here.
Yeah, you like it, huh?
It's kind of like a whorehouse on wheels.
Yeah, well, the other girls like it just fine.
I bet they do.
It's a whorehouse on wheels.
I'm glad we both wrote that down.
You wrote that down.
Yeah. Because it says everything I was thinking of this movie. It's the only line in that movie I laughed out loud and said, someone gets it. Like the one person in this whole film.
That should have been the line in the trailer. It should have just been like, it's a whorehouse on wheels.
And it's coming with theater near you.
The next part is them going to the beach, because somehow Sue convinces Tina that she should be going out with Bobby, who valedictorian and I guess you would say class clown, but I would say more like class rapist. Not the best combo, but she's going to give it she's a friend.
Yeah.
She'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So they're sitting by the fire while Sue and Jack are out screwing each other, I'm guessing. And Bobby's first move is not even to say hello, but just to go right for the goods again.
Yeah, she's just like, can I trust you? And he's like, shit, you know how women get at night, and he just goes for it.
I wrote that down too.
Like, that's just, he's like, well, you left the door open for that one. You know, it's nighttime. Like, you're like a werewolf down there, right?
Can I trust you?
Can you trust me? Shit. I know how you women get at night.
Bobby!
I know how you women get at night.
Yeah. Like, I just want to be in the writer's room when they thought that up.
Yeah, Chris, for you to think more than one person wrote this is...
Yeah.
This was written on a cocaine binge over the course of 4 hours.
Yeah.
There's no way. This is the first draft. But his method is basically just to keep going until they give in. And if they don't give in, he'll just keep going until they run away.
And then he threatens them by driving off a cliff.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
No, he will.
So he still somehow gets her in the van after all of this. Even though she is repulsed by him, he gets her in the van and they sleep in there, but not the sleeping you're thinking of, just a little plutonic sleep. Although right before they go to bed, he does try to grab her one last time.
But he resists.
Yes, that's right. His grabby hands. It's like it's almost like they have a mind of their own. Like if you've seen that movie Idle Hands. Yeah. You can see the hand go up and he kind of grabs it back.
It would be better if he was asleep with the hand kind of, he has to slap it away.
Yeah, he has to really like control his urges. So in the morning, she asks for toilet paper and he responds with...
Women.
Because apparently he doesn't know how women work.
Yeah.
He doesn't get like, they also go to the bathroom. They also pee.
What, you got to shit too?
What, do you got to eat later? What, do you got to get breakfast? Jesus.
His friend and her friend show up to the beach and he sees them and decides... Now, we need to talk about this for a second. He has an 8-track tape of sounds of people having sex. Which he puts in the stereo and then starts rocking the band back and forth to, I guess, simulate that they're doing it by the beach. Right. And then Jack and Sue pull away because they assume, oh boy, they're getting it on.
Right.
My question, Chris, is what purpose does this 8-track serve?
Yeah.
Other than a joke, and why would anybody own it?
Right, because my thing is the fact that it comes with an orgasm sound infers that whoever owns this van is not getting any. It is. It's like the fail.
Do you think it came with the van?
I think, I had to.
The sex sound.
I think it had to have, because the guy going and more.
Well, maybe that's the and more.
That was the and more. Was that?
Yeah.
He made that himself just for Bobby.
And more.
Then we get to the quote fat girl.
Yeah.
He rolls up to I guess you would say a burger place. And just walks up to the window and says,
Hey, you want to go share a joint on the waterbed?
Waterbed? Really? I just love waterbed.
It's right there in the back.
I really don't have time for a joint. But I got some time for a quickie.
Yeah, sure.
So he gets her in the back. And he says,
and literally,
she is raring to go.
Yeah.
She doesn't even want to smoke the joint. She's taken the Bobby school of...
the pupil is now the master.
Yeah, the pupil is now the master. And he says the best line in the movie, which is...
There ain't a woman around who don't love the sound of a zipper coming down.
There ain't a woman around who doesn't love the sound of a zipper coming down. And I would say that line perfectly encapsulates this movie.
I don't know why that's not on the trailer. Why it's not on every poster.
If that was the trailer, that should have been on the poster. The tagline for the movie.
It would, the picture would have been a fly, a zipper, and a van coming out of the zipper. With a tongue sticking out of the fender. Going, whoa! Like when Bobby's sticking his head out of the glasses.
I don't know if he really has sex with her because she leaps on top of him and she's so big, which, okay, we're saying fat girl. She's not that big.
No, she's just...
However, you really don't want to see her naked, but we have to. Mm-hmm. She jumps on top of him and pops the waterbed.
Right. And I would automatically take the van back. If you're popping the waterbed that easily.
Yeah, the next thing we see is him like blow drying the...
Well, we see the water coming out of the back of the van.
Yeah, we see the water coming out, and then we immediately cut to him blow drying the covers, and his friend asking, so you got some? He goes, yeah, she was real big. I mean, real big.
Well, you know, you gotta have the warm-up act of the... she's a palate cleanser in the eyes of the filmmakers.
So he tries to do the palate cleanser. I'm sure that's how they wrote it.
Yeah,
she can't get the good yet. You gotta have the palate cleanser.
Hey, you know? The little flab there, little flab and jab. You know what I mean?
So this is the part where the movie becomes something completely different, because they pull up to Tina's house and she looks out the window and she says, "It's Bobby and Jack and that van." Which, when I wrote down, the van has officially become a character at this point. It's become sentient.
It's become autonomous.
It is now referred to as that van.
It's a mind of its own.
It has taken a life of its own.
Anytime a woman gets in the bag, the doors automatically lock.
It's known around town now as that van. So they pick them up and they drive down to this van convention. But before they get there, they are drinking a giant bottle of champagne while driving.
Yeah. To celebrate the newly minted relationship.
Now, I'm not old enough to know what the laws were in 1977. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure you couldn't drink while driving.
I think that was implemented a long time ago.
So they're openly promoting the idea that you can just drink and drive. Drink while drive. I mean, not just drinking and then getting behind the wheel. Literally driving and drinking at the same time.
Well, I think if it's a captain's chair, it's okay.
I wish he had a captain's hat. That would have really made it. If he was wearing a captain's hat this whole movie. Oh, Lord. So then they go to the other best part of the movie. I keep saying this because there's a lot of best parts of this movie. The van convention at the beach, which they go around and look at all these incredible vans.
Right. And you're wondering, where are these other vans in the movie at the same time that this is going on?
I feel like this wasn't planned. I feel like they went down, because there's no tripod in this whole scene. I really feel like they just kind of went down to the beach and found a bunch of vans and asked if they could have filmed. Mm-hmm. We see the green van race again and crash. Mm-hmm.
With this
and for some reason, Tina doesn't know what a drag race is. She looks at two cars lining up on a line and she goes, "What are they doing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a race." And she's like, "Really?" And then they start going and she's standing in the middle of the road and he has to pull her away.
No, it's competitive parking is what they're doing.
So Dugan's the guy he's racing, the green van.
Right.
And he like pushes him off the road, and I guess that's supposed to be some sort of controversy. Yeah. Tina gets all upset, as usual, and just goes, "Oh, it's too dangerous." Then they go and buy beers from a woman selling them on the beach. Out of a cooler.
For 35 cents.
35 cents.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know you could just legally sell beers out of a cooler by the beach. But she's even got a sign. It's not like they go up to some woman and ask for a beer. She has a sign that says beer's 35 cents.
It's on some van speakeasy.
Oh, Lord, I wish we lived in the 70s. Like, it just seems like a better time. This is when Bobby and Tina have their first moment. He, I guess, opens a beer and it sprays into her face.
Which I thought was foreshadowing.
Money shot.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is going.
So he sprays the beer in her face. Then she puts an ice cube down his shirt. And they start wrestling while people are watching them. There's a big crowd around them as they wrestle each other on the ground. Then he tackles her again on the beach, and they start kissing. And Chris, tell me what he does.
He again starts working his hand up the shirt and just goes for the kill again.
Right in pop one.
Because
they are in front of...
In the presence of van goers. And
in the presence of the van community. He tries to rape a woman right there on the beach.
Like it's a rite of passage. Like this is the normal thing to do at RapeCon. I'm sorry, VanCon 77. Van equals consent.
Van equals consent.
Right.
But then she steals the van, and he walks home all the way home. Which is, he doesn't say women. I felt like he really should have at that point.
Yeah.
He just kind of shrugs his shoulders and then walks, I guess, like 40 miles back home. Because he's there in the day. And I would say where the sun's placed, it's midday when they're at the beach.
He could have easily have died on this hillside at night. These cliffs and just these drop-offs are insane. And I want to know, he couldn't have gotten a ride with anyone else at the van convention?
I guess none of the other van people.
He could have gone with a 35-cent beer girl.
Would you give him a ride? Are you saying in 1977 or now?
Probably 1977.
What about today?
Today, hell no. You know what we're getting into. 77. It's free love. It's adventure. It's freewheeling.
So you would think, though, maybe this is going to cause some sort of controversy, but he walks home and the van's there. No questions asked. We don't find out anything about how it got there or what the deal is. Scene over. Next day.
Well, the van is autonomous. Let's not forget.
Yeah, so now we are almost done with the movie. This is over an hour into the movie, and we have to create some sort of controversy. And with these movies, this is a real running theme, is that they kind of wander on for about an hour, and then right at the hour mark, because let's delve into a little bit of, these movies weren't really meant to be watched.
No,
they're meant to like you to have sex during these movies at the drive-in. Okay,
right. We
need
to
bring a girl.
The director's like, let's time the scene for the length of a hand job and then get back to the plot. You know? Like, we need to get the dick out of the popcorn bin at the right time and then we get back to the plot.
And it's always in the last 20 minutes, they have to have some sort of plot. So they're in the pizza parlor and Danny DeVito comes in and makes up some story about how he like owes some guy money. And he doesn't have it, and we think, oh, well, this is going to be the real controversy. How's he going to get the money? And we immediately cut back to Bobby placing all the money he needs on the table.
Yeah.
Problem over.
Done. Roll credits.
So that's done. Then
resolved.
He goes out. We haven't even talked about the cops, but there's these cops that keep chasing the van, and they're always eating something different.
They're very Blues Brother-y. You know what I mean?
This is before Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
But the first scene, they're like eating ice cream, and you know,
typical cop thing.
That ice cream's gonna get everywhere.
Yeah.
You know? The next scene, they're like eating, I think, a pizza. In this scene. Yeah, it's a cop chase with pizza.
Yeah.
And the pizza gets all over the place. They keep trying to get this van. They just can't get him. We go to a scene of Bobby getting super drunk by himself in the van. And there is, I would say, about a good 12-pack worth of beers emptied on the table. And he's still downing a jug of red wine in the back of his van. We don't know where he is.
Or why he's drowning his sorrows and such.
But he gets out of the van and he's in front of Tina's house. He goes up to her window and starts banging on it. What I guess is the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Banging on her window. And she says she doesn't want to see him. So what's he do, Chris? If he can't get her...
He's going to the other kids.
He goes to Dugan's girlfriend.
Well, my thing is, if she doesn't want to see him, why does she park his van at her house?
No, it's at his house.
His house. That's right. Okay.
So for some reason, she parked his van. We don't even learn why.
Right. Okay. Because I thought it was... Okay, I got that backwards. Okay, I got that mixed up. Because that's too much.
Well, she can obviously see his van is parked right outside her house at the point where he's getting drunk.
Yeah.
But he walks up, bangs on her window. She doesn't want it, so he goes over to Dugan's girl because you know, if he can't get Tina, he's gonna get something.
Something's got to give. At this point.
The next scene we see is him looking through a pair of binoculars.
Again, he's got the Spec Ops rape kit in his car.
He has a pair of binoculars looking through Sally's window as she changes. He drinks some more, goes inside, looks super drunk while he's sitting on the couch. Brings her out to his van, has sex with her, but before they have sex, she says, "You're bigger than Dugan is." Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Let's dissect that one for a bit. So we've learned that Dugan drives this van to compensate, obviously. Or is she just saying this to get Bobby's ego going and to get him turned on?
I don't know, but they will reference it again. Yeah,
I feel like this is a game she's playing, because that's not. He's a ginger. Let's be real here.
You don't know. He might be massive. Although that's that
again though,
that could have been a whole plot point.
Yeah,
it's like if he just maybe, every woman loves the sound of a zipper coming down.
Yeah,
he could have pulled it out, and they would have been in shock.
Right, we could have done like the close-up of the bug-eyed Rodney Dangerfield eyes on the girl. That's kind of
the Rodney Dangerfield bug out. Yeah. But for some reason, she says, "You're bigger than Dugan is," and then we see a sex scene which just has a ton of his back.
Yeah, and
it's a lot of freckle back, like a lot of it.
And the gold necklace is just in full.
Yeah, there's like not a lot of the woman. It's really odd. It's just like, and it's not a lot of him either. It's just a lot of like back skin. It's very odd.
Yeah, and he's a little cut on his left shoulder, which I want to know where he got that from. For me to pick that out, that is too much back. If I can pick that out,
you're right. So then we get to Oh, that's right. Dugan comes back.
Yeah.
And boy, he's mad. He doesn't catch him, but for some reason he can smell ginger.
He knows a van's been here.
He knows a van has been there, and it smells like the straight arrow. Yeah. So we just cut to the next scene is them hanging out in the pizza parlor again, because this movie really only has 3 locations, which is pizza parlor, beach, van. Dugan's house. We get another car chase, and this time the cops have a pie in the car.
It's just like they went to a bakery and said, "Give me all you got."
Which, they don't have any plates or forks.
No.
He's just holding a pie in his hand like he's going to eat it with this. Like he's in some sort of pie eating competition. They get in a car chase where Bobby takes Tina into the car. This is, before they get in the car chase with the cops, he grabs Tina, throws her into the car because she wants nothing to do with him.
Right.
But again, his method is just keep going until they give in.
And threaten death.
So after they go through a car chase with the cops with the pie, they ruin a wedding. He goes out to the cliffs of Malibu and starts swerving around on the highway. Right next to the cliff, scaring the hell out of her. And he says this line to her. He goes, "If you don't listen to me, we're going right over."
What choice do you have at that point? Really, there's really no other option. It's just to shut up and just go with it.
So eventually she gives in like any sane person would.
Right. Or tuck and roll. Just go for the door.
At this point, she would go over the cliff.
Yeah, I think which would be a kindness.
Like, this was the one point in the movie where I was actually scared for her life.
Yeah.
I was worried. I was worried it might end a little bit differently than I thought. But she says this line to her, Chris, or to him, Chris, that I want you to answer, because I answered it in my notes here. She looks right at him after he does all this craziness and finally stops the car. And she looks right at him and she says, "Would a sane person own a van like this and drive the way you do?" And my answer in the notes was, no.
Exactly.
And then he has this confession that's not really even a confession at all, where he just talks about how he always wanted to have a van so he could like have sex with women, and like he was never any good with them, and he thought this van would get him something. Like, this is gonna somehow turn her over to his side?
Right.
He says all this to her.
It's made like this big moral turning point. Like, all is forgiven. As soon as I make this speech, she's going to come running back into my arms. That hand up her shirt meant nothing.
Yeah.
At this point, it was all the van's fault.
And I'll give him this. It's the one time he doesn't try to rape her. They have a nice, I guess, tender conversation. But then for some reason, the next scene is he has to go race Dugan. So this is how the movie ends. Oh, We totally forgot. Oh, that's right. The other controversy is that Danny DeVito just shows up at one point and goes, oh yeah, I don't have your money yet. So I guess he can't make his payment on his van. So he's going to lose the van unless he makes money. So he like challenges Dugan to a race. And this is the only controversy, so we have to settle something. There has to be some sort of plot point, right? At this point, an hour and 20 minutes into the movie, 9 minutes to go, we've got to develop a plot point. So they show up to the race, and Bobby's not there, and everybody thinks he's not going to show. Tina's urging him not to race. He shows up, and he shows up super drunk. For really no reason.
Yeah.
I mean so drunk that he stumbles out of the van and falls to the ground. And his friend runs over and goes, you can't race like this. And he goes, no, I'm fine. Then Dugan comes up and he asks him if they're going to race. And he says this line to him. He looks at him, he goes,
Yeah, I got to match your face in my ass.
I think the race has gotten to their heads at this point. You just see what's gonna get you going, you know, and you call him a turd, and you know.
Oh yeah. So they get in their cars.
Hey Dugan, I've been meaning to tell you, it was me over Sally's house the other night. You big dumb turd, you.
Get out of there! Get out of here! Little punk. Nobody talks to Dugan that way. You understand that? You come on out here.
You just missed the flag.
I'm gonna burn your ass, you hear me? Nobody calls Dugan a turd.
No one calls Dugan a turd and goes to go slap Happy on the windows.
He is livid. Livid.
And it's funny because Bobby forgets to lock the doors before saying this. He has to race to make sure he's safe.
After the whole turd incident, Turd-gate.
Yeah.
Dude gets real fired up.
Yeah.
So they start the race, and Danny DeVito pulls up and goes,
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
I got the money. Which I don't even know why they included this part in it, because now all tension's gone, really. I mean, win or lose, it all is going to be settled, I guess.
It makes no sense at this point. I guess they're banking on honor. We're going to honor.
Why you would include it? Like, why even have that scene in there? Maybe it's just like they just begged DeVito to show up one more day. It was a
contractual thing. You need this amount of minutes for DeVito.
Yeah, they're like, DeVito, you said you'd be in the ending.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just pull up and I'll go, I got the money. All right.
Or not even wish him luck. Like, you would have just said, kid, good luck, and then peeled out, and that was that. But he just completely destroys any and all tension.
So then they get in the race. He rolls the van. Mm-hmm. He destroys it. Everybody thinks he's dead. Dugan hits the cop car.
Yeah.
They run over. They open the door. Bobby falls onto the ground, I guess covered in water.
Yeah, we don't really know what that is.
I think it must have been the water bread broke again. Like you said, he should have returned it the first time. He's soaking wet. And his eyes are closed. And she goes, Bobby, are you okay? This Tina goes, Bobby, are you okay? And he just looks up and goes, yeah.
Well, he spits the water out first.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How does he get a mouthful of that water in the first place? Does he kind of go back there, suck it down real quick for the effect and just...
So, yeah, he spits out the water. He goes, yeah. It's like he doesn't even really say a line. He just goes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then gets up. That's that. They get in a car. They leave the van there.
So, which makes me think, so are you not making the payments at this point anymore? We're just going to kind of forget it and just it's just a loss. We're going to call it at a loss at this point.
Yeah, you know, fuck it.
Fuck it.
They get in Tina's car and they just drive away.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. And then they just intersperse lines of him and Tina talking. Mm-hmm. Where she says, Bobby, do you really like me? And he says, shit. And then she brings up, she goes,
Are you really bigger than Dugan?
Of course I'm bigger than Dugan. Sally said I was bigger than Dugan.
Bobby!
Cut it out, Tina.
Bobby!
Stop hitting. Come on. You're always hitting. Tina, cut it out.
Oh, boy. Women.
So, like, I guess, like, he told her that he went and screwed Sally? Like,
yeah. It's like, how else would she know? Like that whole...
So he, like, what did he go back later and say, like, oh, you wouldn't believe it, I fucked Sally, and then she told me I'm bigger than Dugan.
Yeah. Boy, are you in for a treat.
And it all ends happy, I guess, except for the van.
Yeah.
So they kill quote that van.
Yeah.
And that's that.
In memoriam of that van.
We don't even get an R.I.P. van. Nothing.
I just want to know what becomes of it, or what becomes of him and the van. I mean,
well, we'll have to wait for the sequel.
What consequence is there? There's none. We had to wrap it up at that point.
And that's it. That is the van. And Chris, would you recommend this movie?
To who? That's what I want to know. Who would I recommend this movie to? I mean, people I hate, sure. People I like, maybe.
I mean, I would say definitely.
Yeah.
This is if you're interested in grindhouse movies at all.
Oh, of course.
Or exploitation movies of the 70s or 80s.
Yes.
I would say this is the quintessential starting point. This is the movie to begin your journey on because...
This is hallowed ground.
There is much crazier than this, but if you don't like this movie, you're never going to like any other grindhouse movies. No. This is really... And this is my introduction, actually, to him. A long time ago in college, I took a class. It was a cult film class, and we spent most of the time watching exploitation movies. In the first class, we watched this movie, and boy, were my eyes opened.
You went out and bought a van that night.
I went out and bought the movie immediately and then showed it to as many people as I could.
Right.
And about half of them enjoyed it. The other half thought I was fucking crazy, but you know.
No, there is definitely something to be appreciated in this film. It just, the time of filmmaking at that time, you get why these movies were made. It was a quick, lamey film to go to a drive-in.
Yeah.
And all you gotta know is the name of the movie.
Well, all these movies were basbasically played on double features.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody's paying attention until the last 20 minutes. That's why you put the plot in the very end, backload it, you know. An hour of bullshit.
Get that reel ready.
Yeah. Yeah, right when you get to that last reel, we'll put in some sort of plot.
The plot reel is ready to go.
I want you to give me a name for the sequel to this movie, if there was one.
I would say he gets a new van. No, well, let's say he gets the old van back and he rebuilds it to make up the money lost on the gap insurance that he didn't buy for the repairs. He makes it a bakery on wheels, and they sell crepes. And it's going to be a crepe van, and it's just going to be called Serial Crepus is the tagline. The Van 2.
So it's just going to be called The Van 2 Serial Crepus.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to make any changes to this movie, what would you do?
I would change the music to be very... Like if you were watching Halloween, I'd use that kind of music. I would make it.
So you wouldn't change any plot points. You would just make it a horror movie.
I would change the music, and that's it. Because the movie is perfect as it is. It's just themed wrong. So it would be a straight up thriller, psychological thriller.
So. No change in the plot.
None.
You think it's perfect as it is.
I think it's perfect as is.
And we just change the musical score.
And change the poster.
Instead of being a lot of soft rock.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even really call it rock. More like soft folk.
Yeah.
You change it to John Carpenter-ish horror movie music.
Right.
So Chris, out of 5 stars, what do you give it?
Oh, I give it 4 hubcaps.
4 hubcaps. I'd give it 5. I'd say this is a near perfect movie.
I'm sorry, I'm giving it 4 hubcaps and a waterbed. That's what I'm giving it.
There you go. Sounds good.
Hubcaps and a waterbed.
Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. You can go ahead and find us online at facebook.com/grindbin. We're also on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. And our website is grindhousefilm.com and grindpod.com.
Hey, Bobby, I got the money.
Yeah, I need the key. But you're a hooker.
Get that goddamn thing out of your mouth.
Head and knockers.
Spooky got no real poaching.
Brenda.